Hey everyone, we have a special guest at the Tavern today. You can find him every Tuesday on NWA Powerrr on Fight TV, hailing from California, USA, Mr. SAL RINAURO. What's going on, man? How are you?
Guys, I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad to be a part of the Tavern. I'm doing good. How about you?
Man, we're doing fine. We're super pumped that you're here. We appreciate you stopping by. It's always fun to have good guests on at the Tavern.
Absolutely.
You can't get a good guest, you get SAL RINAURO. So
come on, man.
You're selling yourself short, man. So you guys on NWA Powerrr, you're back. You know, you've been back for a couple months, killing it. Kind of getting your feet back under you after the pandemic.
Yeah.
What was that like, man? Because you were kind of working that angle, you know, with May and Strictly Business. So what's it been like coming back after that?
I mean, keep in mind, so I broke my arm January 18th of 2020. We shot the last set of TVs before the pandemic the following week. So, you know, and obviously at the time we didn't know that was going to be the last set. So, it's just one of those, like, the last night of tapings was the same night as the Royal Rumble. And I had promised my son, I won't miss the Royal Rumble. I will be home. We start shooting at 4. I will rush home. So, you know, like, I was on such a wild roller coaster that week, you know, because I broke my arm on Saturday. I was originally booked for NXT that Wednesday. Then we had pay-per-view Friday, TV Saturday, TV Sunday. And in a blink of an eye, I went from all of that to, oh God, I've broken my arm. Nobody's going to use me. Like, it's over for me.
Oh, man.
So when I broke my arm, I had to reach out to NXT. I had to reach out to NWA and tell them, hey, this is the situation. You know, I'll be more than happy to still make the trip if you'll have me. And NXT said, you know, with liability, you know, there's just nothing we can do. And I said, well, I understand. And NWA said, no, we need you. Oh, wow. You know, so now I went from the lowest to lows to like, oh, they're still going to use me. And then I get there and all of a sudden I'm thrust into this angle with May and Royce and Strictly Business. You know, now I'm rubbing elbows with the champ. And it's just like, oh, man, I should have broke my arm years ago.
What a sense, man.
Yeah. So as soon as I'm done with my stuff that night, I'm out the door because I'm an hour and a half south of Atlanta. And I've got to get home because I promised my son, hey, we're going to watch the Rumble together. I mean, he at the time he was 9, and I mean he's every year for 9 years. You know, that's true. You know, we watch the Rumble together, so I'm kind of out the door and, you know, briefly saying goodbye. Oh, I'll see you guys in a couple months. I'll see you guys in a couple months. I'll see you guys at Crockett Cup. You know, like I've got, you know, like I feel so blessed. You know, like I've got this injury, but they're still not only are they using me, but like now I'm in a featured role. I've got, you know, this thing with May going on. I'm, you know, like I said, rubbing elbows with the champ. So like I'm on cloud 9, and then it all crumbled.
Oh my God.
We were holding on for every last breath. Like, please don't cancel Crockett Cup. Please don't cancel Crockett Cup. And everything's canceling left and right. And when I saw because we were one of the last things when I got noticed, it was one of the last things that was getting canceled. But when the NBA announced that they were canceling, and when Disney announced they were shutting down, I was like, oh no.
Right.
And so and I tell everybody I had a 2-month lead on the pandemic just because, you know, I had the broken arm. So I was already, you know, I was already itching to get back in the ring, and I still hadn't healed yet. So
right.
I got to wait this period out. You know, like we had the Carneyland thing going on for a little bit. So at least there was somewhere for us to do something. And then that kind of went away. And it was just like, I don't know if this is going to be a thing again. Like there was this just giant black cloud of dread. Like, man, I've been a part of a lot of promotions. I've wrestled everywhere. I've wrestled for WWE. I've wrestled for TNA. I've wrestled for Ring of Honor. Like there was something about being in that studio. It was just such a special feeling. And I was like, oh, the longer we go without being there, the longer that magic's going to go away. And I can't even formulate words to describe the magic, but it was just there. When you were there in that studio, it was something and you knew it. It was a tangible feeling. And so day by day, it's like, oh, please, something, anything. And so when they finally reached out and said, hey, we're coming back in March, no crowd, but it's something. I said, well, that's a step in the right direction. And what an air of relief it was. And it's funny just because as much as I'll tell till the day I die, without the crowd at GPB Studios, I would never be in the spot I'm in. For whatever reason, they latched onto me. They accepted me.
Yeah.
Their reaction helped open up management's eyes that like, hey, maybe there's something in Sal. Let's go with them.
Yeah.
But just being amongst that locker room in March where there was no crowd, there was still like that. It's such a focused group. It's not just, we got to get this guy over. We got to get this guy over. We've got to get the whole company over. We got to get the brand over. We got to get the TV show over. And it's everybody fighting for the same cause. And it's a really, really cool feeling.
That's awesome. I mean, pre-pandemic, you guys were like, I feel like you and question mark, RIP Josephus. I mean, such a huge loss, but you two really connected to the crowd. You kind of became crowd favorites, and you talked about how special it was in that studio. Speak a little more to that. Like, what do you think it is about that environment and that makes it so special? And why do you think the crowd attached to characters like you and question mark?
Well, I think it's because we were characters. We were real characters. I mean, what you see, SAL RINAURO, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
A little more turned up, but I mean, I'm me, like that's one of the things that's helped me throughout my whole career. I think is people tend to latch to me just because they're like, I don't believe in the negativity. I don't believe, like a bad situation can become a good situation in the blink of an eye. It's just, it's all about the way, it's all about perspective. It's all about your mentality. And, I've been fortunate enough that I've lived out in Georgia for, what year is this? 2021. I've lived here since '98. I'll let you do the math.
Yeah.
But I moved out here in '98. So a lot of those people in the studio audience has probably seen me on an indie once or twice or 700 times.
Right.
So I was a recognizable face, but it was a recognizable face on a bigger stage. And I think that really helped as far as I was one of them. I was one of the, like I'll tell this story. It's always just so funny to me. When they first announced, hey, we're doing tapings at Georgia Public Broadcasting, I'd sent out some feelers and reached out and said, hey, I'm an hour and a half drive away. I'd be more than happy to participate. Like that'd be a cool deal. And didn't hear anything back. I said, okay, well, I shot my shot. Didn't work out. And the first tapings of Powerrr were on a Monday. The Friday right before it is when I got the call. Hey, you available? Absolutely. So I showed up to GPB that Monday, and there was a lot of faces I had recognized. Like I did the Wrestling Road Diaries with Colt Cabana. I've known Cabana for too long to brag about at this point. I'd worked in TNA with Crimson and with Mr. Anderson and with the Pope. So like there's guys I knew. But when the card gets put up, the very first match, the very first taping, the Dawson brothers versus X and Y. And, Bill Behrens pulls me aside and he goes, well, you want to be X or you want to be Y? Said, okay, well, if I get the choice, you know, like X is kind of cool, like extreme, but Y can be a vowel or a consonant. So like it's a multi-tool letter. So I think I'll be Y. And I'll never forget it. So Crimson, who was the agent on our match, comes to talk to me and my partner and the Dawsons. But when he does, it's straightforward to the Dawsons. Hey, we're looking for this. We're looking for this. We're looking for Sal. And his whole demeanor changed. And instead of talking to the Dawsons, he starts telling me, hey, look, this is what we're trying to do. Blah, 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 blah. I can't believe you're here. That's awesome. I didn't know you were here. Can you do another match tonight? Like, yeah.
That's awesome, man.
But like, I was the very first person out the curtain that was in spandex, that was a wrestler for Powerrr. And I was just Y. You know, like it's not like I was not a featured guy in the league.
Sure.
Booked 4 days before. And so I think that story helps relate me to the people because they know like Sal's happy to be here, but he wants more and we want more for him. You know, we want to be a part of this journey. It's not just, hey, here's a top guy. Let's see what this top guy does. It's as Rocky Balboa as it gets. You know?
I would be a good feeling too to have them on your side like that.
Yeah, and you know, like, and it's funny just because the first 2 matches I did, I you know, they didn't say, hey, you're a heel, but I was wrestling guys that were supposed to be cheered.
Yeah,
you
right.
Know, they didn't care, and they you know, they're along for the ride with me, and come on, guys, let's go, let's have fun.
So, you know, you guys have you've been killing it lately, and everything is leading up to the end of August. NWA 73. We also have Empower, which is going to be NWA's all women's pay-per-view that Mickie James is kind of really getting behind and executive producing that. How big is it for you? Because I recently saw that you read a book called Wrestling at the Chase.
Yeah.
And can you speak on the history and the importance of both of these events and bringing wrestling back to this famous arena for wrestling?
So I'm a self-professed wrestling nerd, you know, like wrestling's always been my thing. Like, you know, I remember when I was in 1st grade and the teacher would go around the class, you know, like, what are you going to be when you grow up? Oh, I'm going to be a policeman. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a dinosaur. I'm going to be a pro wrestler. You know, the teacher's like, hey, that kid's got a better chance of being a dinosaur than you do a pro wrestler. But like wrestling's like, I've always immersed myself in everything I can pro wrestling. Like I remember, I grew up in California and it was a WWF territory. You know, I mean, that's just what we saw. That's what I got syndicated. And I remember finding the After mags in like 87, 88 and finding out there's this whole world outside of what was on my TV. And just my brain exploding. And so, you know, just like, oh, wow, there's this guy and this guy in this territory. Like, oh, you know, and so when we had the team meeting and Billy goes, you know, okay, guys, you know, this is going to be our last set of tapings here at GPB for now. Next time we're together, it's going to be at the Chase in St. Louis. I couldn't wait for them to go public to announce it. I had to get it off. Like, oh my, like the Sam Mushnick Chase. Like, I mean,
historical, man.
Yeah, I mean, the Bruiser, the Crusher, you know, Harley Race, Ric Flair, Andre the Giant. I mean, all these names, like you hear throughout the years. What a great payoff guy, you know, Mushnick was. And if you wanted to be the champ, you had to be over in St. Louis because St. Louis was the epicenter of the NWA. And it's just like, there's only 12 men that have walked on the moon. That's it. Only 12 people in the history of the world that have walked on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
The Chase is the moon to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's this unattainable, only the rarest of the rare of the limited guys. I mean, 31 years they haven't even had a show there. You know, like
That's wild.
so for just to be associated with this company that's going to be producing a pay-per-view from the chase. I still can't completely wrap my brain around. Like I'm counting down the minutes, not the hours, not the days, the minute. I cannot wait to get there and explore and just like, oh man, like Harley walked here, you know, like just the Von Erichs have been here, just all the names have participated. It's such an overwhelming but exciting thought. Like I cannot wait. And just to add on to it, they're doing the all women's pay-per-view the night before. So it's just like, oh, we're gonna make history, but we're gonna double up on that.
Yeah.
And you know, like we're gonna get as many of the women out there that are available. And I mean, and you've seen what Mickey's already been doing. She showed up at Slammiversary, so it's not just like a tight knit group. I mean, Thunder Rosa's been tearing it up, you know, on AEW. She was on the pay-per-view. She was on Slammiversary. There's just so many elements that are coming into making this just like this epic event, this you know, almost perfect storm of pro wrestling. And the fact that I'm associated with it is just if you would have told 10-year-old Sal RINAURO, like, oh yeah, you know, 20 years from now you're going to be wrestling at the Chase, you're a liar. I don't believe you.
Liar.
Yeah.
Who am I working? Santa Claus, get out of my face. You know?
Yeah.
So I like I said, I cannot wait to get there. I'm so excited.
They're going to be looking for Sal too. They're going to say, "Where's Sal?" And he's going to be out roaming around.
Absolutely.
So you talked a little bit about when you were growing up in California, it being a WWF territory, and that's really all you got. So talk about your early fandom. Like, were you a WWF guy? Like, who were your guys growing up?
100%. I mean, I'm an 80s baby. So you can't be an 80s baby and not, you know, have at least a month or so where Hogan was your dude. I mean, you know, like, I mean, I'll always say Hogan is the guy that introduced me to pro wrestling. You know, I don't know how I found wrestling. My family, none of my family watched it. I think what it had to do with is the syndication came on at noon on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Or AKA the end of cartoon time.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Saturday morning cartoons, and you know, and then it just segued into pro wrestling, and you see Hulk Hogan, you're just like, oh my God, this guy. Oh, but it was Savage that was like, Hogan's the one that introduced me. Savage is the one that hooked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just so different than any person in any walk of life, really. I mean, but
yeah.
I always dug, you know, like he always had different outfits, the jackets, the you know, never wore the same thing twice, the glasses, the headbands, the promo. Like I've always admired Randy Savage's promo because in the same promo, he can laugh, he can cry, he can yell, he can scream, he can epiphany, he can forget what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's Macho Man, so it all works. But yeah, I mean those, you know, the Mega Powers being a thing where it's just everything a boy could want, you know, and it was during the Mega Power, like I said, it was around that time that I found the After Mags.
Yeah.
And, you know, then I started doing the deep digging, and whenever Crockett would have an event that I could rent at the video store, you know, I was the first one in line to get it, and then finally, because I was late in the game getting cable. I didn't get cable till late '89. But then once I got the Superstation, you know, like, oh, game over. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, like, as a child, I didn't know why I appreciated it. As an adult, I can look back now and understand. I've always loved the variety of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And so finding out that there's a completely different world outside of WWE, like, oh wow, this is amazing, you know? And,
oh yeah, man.
And then like also finding out like, oh, that's where that guy went. Oh, that's where that guy came from. You know, things like that. Like getting to connect the dots for me as a kid was just like, oh, this is the best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now I have to ask also, so as a kid, you found the After Mags and you had all that. Now I also see behind you, because I know you're a collector also, I see the Hasbros back there, and I also saw a tweet that you had sent out to Zombie Sailor.
Yes.
Hey man, make Ahmed Johnson. If you don't make Ahmed, make a Sal, which I'm all about Zombie doing a Sal.
Yes, we need
figures.
a Zombie Sailor Sal.
I mean, to put Sal in the heels and faces line, I think that has to happen, man.
Yeah, no, I've always been, like behind me it's the complete Hasbro line. Now, you know, I had LJNs as a kid, but the Hasbro ones were the ones that, I mean, that's my childhood right there. That's
same.
I just, you know, I have so many memories, and I'm a figure guy. You know, to my right I can't even show it, but it's a mountain of unopened Jacks and Mattel. I mean, just,
you can see right behind Chad there's the Dusty Hasbro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I've actually got to talk to Dusty about, but we'll address that later. But yeah, like I said, Mega Powers, late 80s, early 90s, that was my indoctrination. You know, that was where it was just more than, oh, I like pro wrestling. It was like, oh, the pro wrestling's the best thing, and the second best thing is also pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But the new generation, for whatever reason, it's just my favorite era. And I get it super campy, and you know, like some of the best matches are hard to find. I think it was just, you know, the timing of it, and it's as I was going from a boy to an adult, and I love the new generation, and Ahmed Johnson was my dude. Like
Pearl River Plunge, man.
And it's funny because as an adult, I tell people all the time, you know, the beauty of Ahmed Johnson is pro wrestling. The art of pro wrestling is making people believe that you're really hurting somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ahmed Johnson always makes me believe he's hurting somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it be himself, somebody is walking away from the ring pain. And I get that he's not a clean, smooth mechanical worker, but like that, Ahmed Johnson's I love Ahmed Johnson. So my buddy and I were talking about the heels and faces line. I was like, man, I don't see him to tell Ahmed coming, but Zombie's really bringing some guys that I want.
Yeah.
So I initially just started to tweet like, hey, Zombie, make an Ahmed Johnson. Doing it. I was like, why not shoot my shot? What's the worst thing that happens? He says no. I might as well try.
Yeah,
I might text Zombie and tell him that we're gonna start a hashtag Get a Sal figure.
Oh yeah. We need a Sal figure.
That's the boyhood dream. I mean, just I've always said I'm not a video game guy. I don't care about being in video games, which is funny. Like I helped break Xavier Woods in.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
He's you know, friend of my kids call him Uncle Austin. I mean, you know, we talk almost daily. I love him to death, but you know, he was always, even when he first started, I want to be in a video game. I want to be in a video game. And I was like, that doesn't do it for me. I don't care if I'm
yeah.
But to get a figure, that's the white wave. That's, you know, that's Moby Dick to me. That's, if I get a figure, holy, like, oh.
Yeah, man.
Couldn't imagine. So yeah, I definitely would love to be a part of that heel and faces line.
I mean, can you imagine the heel and face series with Ahmed Johnson, Sal, and then the Jack Tunney? Because he just
saw Jack. Yes.
So I'm excited for that. It's approved by the Jack Tunney estate. We're finally getting a Jack Tunney figure.
Yeah. So my buddy texted me. I got a couple texts like, "Hey, are you getting Tunny?" I said, "I pre-order it right now."
So I gotta hear this Dusty story, man. You got to talk to him about his Hasbro?
Yeah. So Dusty, I was fortunate enough to after Dusty left WCW, you know, he started running a promotion here in Georgia called Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. And I was fortunate enough to get on a couple of those shows. And then Dusty came to NWA Wildside. And so I was always, you know, nice, good to see you, Dusty. But it's Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
You can't walk up to Dusty Rhodes and have a conversation, you know? And it just so happened one night I was watching an old Coliseum video and it was Dusty versus Akeem at the Garden. Also a big Akeem guy. I just like
the African Dream, man.
And I didn't even, as a kid, it didn't even think that like African Dream, instead of doing the 747, he did the Air Africa. I didn't get that it was like a bite on Dusty at all. I just thought One Man Gang got cool. You know? It was definitely years later, you know. I was like, oh.
Light bulb goes off.
Yeah. So I'm watching, I believe it's Rampage 90, but it's Dusty versus Akeem in the Garden. And I mean, it's just everything I could ever want from Dusty and Akeem. I mean, Dusty hits the bionic elbow and Akeem starts selling like this. And then Dusty's behind him, mocking him, doing the same sell. And the Garden is losing their mind. And it's just these two big guys. And it's just the best. So the next day, I just happened to be on a show with Dusty, and him and I were just sitting alone in the room. And I said, "Here we go."
Yeah.
You know, Dusty, I don't want to bother you. And oh no, baby, you're not a bother. Talk to me. And I'm like, oh, you done messed up now, Dusty.
You opened the door.
Yeah. So, you know, I start talking to him about the match. He's like, "Oh, I can work George every day of the week, baby. He's so good. He's so smooth. Let me tell you." And he starts breaking down, working with One Man Gang with Akeem, and he goes, "And the best part is, all I had to do was my action figure." Yeah, all I do is raise this back, and it snaps into him, and he did all the rest of the work. And the Dream was just looking good in the polka dots.
That's awesome.
Oh man,
that's so cool.
It was one of those moments that, I mean, you know, what I would give to have had a camera.
Oh,
I mean, you know, this is probably 01, so I didn't even have a camera phone or anything.
Yep.
Like, I don't even know if I have a picture of me and Dusty. But I mean, just getting to listen to him tell stories, and even after that, I mean, I ran into him all over. I ran into him like at Ring of Honor. We did Special K versus I can never remember we did a big blow off with Special K where we broke up Special K, and it was in the cage, and Dusty Rhodes did a run-in. And if you go and watch it, because the whole spot was everybody feeds for an elbow.
Right.
So I kind of did the math and was like, if I take one early, I might be able to sneak back in and take a second one. And if you go back and watch it, sure enough, as soon as Dusty hits the cage, I'm the first one there waiting. Boom, and I take it, do the big fold over bump and sell back, and I let everybody else feed in. And right when it looks like he's run out of guys, here I come again. And I elbow. I was like, yeah, this is so cool. But Dusty was always, what a memory on that guy, because he was always, "Hey, good to see you. How you been, man?" You know, WWE, same thing when I would come up there and he was the producer. "Oh, sit down next to me, son. Let's talk." And it's just like, dude,
that's so crazy.
You. Like, you may have forgotten, might have hit your head this morning. You're Dusty freaking Rhodes.
Right.
You can sit next to anybody in the world. You're the second most recognizable athlete in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just incredible.
That's wild.
That's awesome, man. Now, another thing, you mentioned ROH. You were at ROH during what many consider to be its hottest time.
Yes.
And do you think Ring of Honor kind of laid the groundwork for companies today like AEW and NXT?
I think it's unquestionable. I mean, look at the talent on the AEW and NXT rosters, right?
Yeah.
Where they come from. You
Right.
know, I talked about the special feeling at NWA, and that's, I mean, like I said, that's second to none. In 05 in Ring of Honor, in that locker room, we knew we had something special.
Yeah.
It wasn't spoken about. You know, it's not like we would sit back and toot our own horns and talk about how you just knew. I mean, look at the card. I mean, you know,
Killer cards.
I was fortunate enough, for whatever reason, Brian loved me. And so I got to spend a lot of road trip times with Daniel Bryan, and it's just what a unique mind for pro wrestling, you know. And I would try to absorb it, but it's just like you got Bryan, you got Roderick, you got Austin Aries, you got Samoa Joe. You're just coming off the summer of Punk. Jamie Noble during his indie run, Spanky during his indie run. I just, you know, guy, Jay Lethal still figuring out who Jay Lethal was, but still being awesome.
Yep.
You know, Jack Evans. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And then SAL RINAURO was there too. You know, like I used to tell people all the time, like, don't tell anybody I'm here. I don't want them to remember. Like, they're gonna figure out I'm not supposed to be here. It was, and one of the you know, things that Gabe used to compliment me all the time. He goes, you know, Sal, no matter what happens, if you're not in the ring, I always can find you because you're always at the curtain watching. And I said, well, how can Gabe? You're paying me. Like, these are DVDs I would buy.
Yeah. And you're paying me to be here.
You're giving me money and letting me perform. And as soon as I come through the curtain, out goes Colt Cabana or Davey Richards or AJ Styles. Like, buddy, you're gonna find me at the curtain, you know? Like,
you're lucky you don't find me in the front row.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny. Jamie Noble was that guy. I don't know. I mean, what the Jamie Noble you get on TV is such a muted version.
Yeah.
Real Jamie Noble. Jamie Noble is one of my favorite people to ever share a locker room with. One of my favorite Jamie Noble memories is we were doing a cage match. It was me and Jimmy Rave, and I think we were working with Generation Next.
Oh, nice.
And blah, 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 blah. Chaos ensues. Big match, big pop. Babyface is over. Jimmy and I are getting carted from the ring. And, you know, we're on the big cell and we're dying. And as we're kind of, you know, we're having that moment because Jimmy Rave was my best friend for years. I love Jimmy to death. And Jimmy and I kind of just had this unspoken moment where we're like, yeah, we killed it, you know, like, and as we're having this, we're still in front of the crowd. We hear, you did it, boys. Boys, you did it. You did it. I'm so proud of you right now. You did it. And we look up and there's Jamie in the front row.
That's awesome.
Boys, you did. That's what I'm talking about. That's pro wrestling. How did you get here, Jamie? There's so many questions.
That's a great Jamie Noble impression,
That's
too.
great.
Man.
Thank you. Yeah. A lot of road trips to Jamie will burn it into your soul.
Hey, he's a West Virginia boy like we are, man.
Yeah. So between your time at ROH, NWA, all the other promotions you've worked for, Sal, you've wrestled a who's who of phenomenal wrestlers. Is there any matches that stick out to you, or is there any opponents that you look back on as like a major learning lesson that you still carry with you today?
There's so many. I'm my biggest critic, so like all my matches are the worst.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, what you said, I mean, like, I've been so blessed to work with so many guys, and I don't think there's ever been one moment where I was like, but there's been so many little learning blocks that I've had. with so many guys. I remember at one of the ROH TVs, Adam Pearce. I was Adam Pearce's utility player. By the time we got the HD Net deal, Adam Pearce was in charge, and Adam called me. I was his utility player. He goes, "I can put you in any role. We're going to be fine. It doesn't matter. Whatever the spot needs, you're going to make it happen." And so one night he pulls me aside. He goes, "Hey, I've got you doing triple duty tonight. Is that fine?" I say, "Well, you know, I've got 6 pair of gears with me, so I can make 3 shots happen. That's not a problem." He goes, "The good news is it's all easy matches, and you're working D'Lo Brown." Like, oh yeah, you know, like I remember going the Raw where Butterbean, or not Butterbean, where Bart Gunn knocked out Dr. Death.
Oh yeah.
I was in the crowd with a push D'Lo Brown sign. Like, I love
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So like when he's like, "Hey, you're working D'Lo Brown," I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll work every match then. If that's the payoff to this all." Nice. And just watching the way like D'Lo called our match, you know, D'Lo made sure I got enough in without getting too much in, and he just, everything that we did fit the story of the match as well as everything I was doing for the rest of the night too. And I was just that was one of those things where I was just like, oh yeah, like D'Lo's a next level kind of dude,
Right?
you know. And you know that'll always keep a special spot in my heart, just because, yeah, like it was D'Lo Brown. That was cool.
Yeah.
The last time I worked with AJ, you know, and I've known AJ since before AJ was AJ. You know, when AJ broke in at Wildside, and I came in probably 6 months after he started at Wildside. So I mean, I've known AJ forever, and one of his last matches. So after his Japan run, when he had already signed the WWE deal, but he was getting to fulfill all his dates, and Luke Gallows was running the show hour from the house, and he said, "Hey, I need a good match for AJ, and I need somebody that's going to take care of AJ." Gotcha, boss. And so I got there, and, you know, like I said, I've known AJ forever, and I've worked AJ a million times, but it was one of those things where, like, I wasn't, you know, I was trying to feel him out, like, hey, you know, like, this was literally 2 weeks before the Rumble, you know, so I'm like, hey, you tell me where you are mentally and physically, and then we'll work around that. And he's like, just call it to me.
Wow.
Like, no, AJ. You're 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. I'm 2 weeks from being back here. What do you want to do? And he was like, man, I want to go. I got to get it out of my system. Let's go.
That's awesome, man.
Wow.
So, having that kind of faith put in me by a guy, I mean, my son just argued with me about it a couple nights ago, but I mean, I say AJ, you know, since the year 2000, AJ is one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world.
Easily.
But my son argued me. He said, you know, maybe 10, maybe top 10, but not 10. Maybe I'm a little biased, but nonetheless, you know, like, to have AJ put that faith in me, just like, let's go. And then we, you know, at one point, we were in there, and he had put me in the leg finish, the calf crusher.
Yep.
And I'm working it, selling, and AJ's audibly going, "Oh, this is why this is good. This is what we want." And I'm like, AJ, bring it in. I'm having a good time too. But it's just one of those things where, like, that elation on the way home, where it kind of hit me like, oh yeah, like, this guy's the man, and he put all the faith in the world in me, and we delivered. You know, like, I was always a sucker, and he always, I don't know if he hated me for it or respected it, but I always, whenever I work AJ, I like to do the Styles Clash off the middle rope as the finish. You know, Rana, he catches me, here we go. And every time he's like, why? You could just take a regular one, it'll hurt less. Like, I know, but I just think it's cool. I'm just enamored with the visual. And he's like, I mean, hey, it's your bump, not mine. So,
Yeah.
and so same thing, you know, that was one of those things where when I get him up top to get ready for the finish, he's like, why? I'll just slip down and catch you. Like, no, here we go. It's too late now, AJ.
We're doing it.
Yeah, you're either eating a Hurricane Run or you're catching me for the Styles Clash. Your court now.
That's awesome, man. That's really to show faith in you like that. That's a sign of true respect.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like I said, it's just it's wild to me that another one. So I worked right when Nigel McGuinness was supposed to have signed with WWE, right? You know, he had already done all the tests and stuff. We worked a match, and it was a similar thing where where I was like, hey, I know the score of the game, like you're getting ready to go on to greener pastures, and I'm here to make sure that you look good going on to greener pastures, like I get my allotment. But Nigel was adamant, like, no, I want to make sure you look good, and I want to do a different style. I want to do a different format that I think I can only get out of you.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's fine with me,
Yep.
And so we went out and we had this different style of match. And 2 days later is when it leaked on the internet, like Nigel McGuinness signed. Obviously it didn't work out, but at the time, that was big news that Brian and Nigel had both signed.
Yeah.
Nigel shot me a text. He goes, hey, I just want to let you know, I don't think I could have gotten here without you, without your help. And I'm just like, get out of here, dude. You're super good. You would have 100% gotten there without me. I appreciate the compliment. And he goes, no, like there's nobody in the world that sees their name next to yours on a card and is like, oh no, not tonight. Like, and I was just like, man, wow. That's
awesome.
That's really, really cool. It's still surreal to me sometimes to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, those are legends within that company at that time. Like, I mean, come on. Like,
now that's a true testament to your skill in the ring.
Absolutely. Like, that's giving you the tip of the cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny to me just because I've never been that guy where it's about me. Like and I think that's why I work so well is I have enough faith in myself that I can get over no matter what. And right. Going back, I think this NWA run is kind of proof in the pudding that, like, again, I was brought in to be X or Y. It's not like Nick Aldis and Camille and Sal RINAURO, I wasn't even M anymore.
Right.
But like I have the ability to find my little niche, and that's all I need is my little niche. I don't have to be the top guy of the promotion, and I don't have to win every match. And you give me 3 minutes and I'm going to give you 3 really good minutes.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I think NWA Powerrr has brought back that's really set itself apart from other promotions is the Podium promo.
Yes.
What's it like being up there with Kyle Davis now?
Yes.
Cutting those promos, like, do you feel a pressure there? Do you just kind of let it fly? Like, what's that feeling when you're at the podium?
The answer is yes to both. And it's funny. It took me forever to get to the podium. There was plenty of tapings where it just wasn't, like obviously the first couple shots where I was just the guy to get beat up. I wasn't getting podium time, but then they started doing the squared circle where it wasn't even the regular show, but everybody on squared circle got to go to the podium. And that's when I was like, come on, man. Like, just to rewind a little bit, the first time I walked on the soundstage, the first time I walked on the set, I mean, I literally stepped out of the DeLorean and into 1985.
Yeah,
it completely, I was like, the flags were up, the apron to the ring. I look over and and I was just like, oh, and instantly that became the goal. Like, I want to speak at that podium.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen so many guys talk at the podium. I just want one shot.
Yeah.
And so I had this weird internal thing where, like, you know, that became the goal. Like, I got to do it. I got to do it. It's a bucket list thing. I didn't even know I wanted to do it till I saw it there. And the minute I saw it, I said, I've got to get off the podium. And like I said, it was series and series of tapings where there was no Sal at the podium. And I was like, this is awful. And then ironically, when I broke my arm, they said, oh, yeah, you and May out at the podium. And it, you know, so now it's not just like, hey, you need to deliver on this promo. It's all the internal pressure of, you've wanted to do this, you wanted to do this, you wanted to do this. Now you got your shot. Don't you dare mess up. You know, and the beauty, one of my favorite things about NWA is just the fact that, I mean, let me start with, I don't mind the concept of scripts because I do think some guys need it and I think it's beneficial. I've also seen the process of script writing in WWE firsthand, and it's not just somebody gives you a piece of paper and you memorize your lines. There's a cohesion with the writer and the talent. So the talent has input as to what he's saying. It's just at the end of the day, the writer is the one putting it on a piece of paper. You know, it's not Spielberg handing, you know, De Niro a script. There's that being said, there is none of that. You know, there's no writer on deck. There's no, you know, a lot of the promos, if anything is spoken about beforehand, it's amongst guys bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah.
But there's no hard set verbiage. And I think that's where you can really see personality shine.
Absolutely.
100%.
Do it or you don't, you know? And it's funny, this last set, and I think the promo just aired a couple weeks ago, the one where Colby attacked me.
Yeah.
The Buster. Right before we went out there, I had a completely different promo in my brain. Right? The promo I had in my brain was not a single word delivered. But once I started going, I just started feeling it. And it didn't matter what I had here. It was irrelevant because it was one of those, I wasn't even sure where I was going, but I liked the journey of where I was getting to. And, you know, just the whole, all I have to do is be better than the Pope for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Don't have to be better. I don't have to be a better dresser. I don't have to be, you know, a better wrestler. I don't have to be better looking. I don't have to be a better promo. I just have to be better than him for 3 seconds. And, you know, like I think the truthfulness behind it is what related. And I think that's why it worked, because that's breaking down pro wrestling to its simplest terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was real. It was 100% real to the character of Sal Rinauro that I just got to be better than 3 seconds. And that's what I tried to deliver every time I'm at the podium, is little pieces of realness, of, you know, if I can relate to this as a human being, then everybody else can relate to it too, you know? And then you got guys like, you know, the bar's already set so high. I mean, Nick Aldis doesn't know how to do a bad promo. It's just not in him. It just, every time I think like, okay, I think I can hang with Nick, he'll go deliver a promo and I'm like, all right, you're good. You're real good. You know, and it's just, there's you know, you got Austin Idol. I mean, just, I'm on a roster with Austin Idol. Unreal.
Right.
Yeah.
You got Austin Idol coming out and just hitting these promo after promo after promo. And it's just like, if you know, it's either sink or swim. You know, you go out there and you either deliver or you're getting left on the side of the road. And I'm not trying to get left on the side of the road. So, you know, I'm trying to carry my part too. But you know, just there's magic. And I do have the ease of mind with Kyle out there, just because I've known Kyle forever, and
yeah,
we have witty banter every day in our real conversations. So Kyle's kind of my security blanket out there. That, you know, if the trains kind of start going off the track, he knows how to reel it in and get me where I got to go. So I'm very fortunate to have him out there with me.
That's awesome. Now, what's next for SAL RINAURO in NWA?
That's literally anything. I honestly, genuinely feel like the world's my oyster, and I don't have a shellfish allergy. So I'm, I just, if you would have told me 2 years ago that, like, hey, you're going to be heavily featured on Fight TV with the NWA, you're going to be at the chase, you're going to, you're going to get a shot at the world television title, you're going to be, just all the things, like you're going to have victories over Aaron Stevens, and you're going to have this, like, oh, no way, not a real thing. Thanks for playing the game. See you next time. Like it. So I only have up to go. I started at the bottom. I started again. I was X or Y. I was X or Y, and now, like, the episode where I had the match with the Pope, when you go on the Fight TV app, it's me. And, like, there's my face.
Yeah.
What?
That's
right. Like,
what a feeling, man. What a feeling.
Yeah. So it's just, there's so much talent there. And, like, keep in mind, I still have the rest of this season that's been filmed up my sleeve. And there is, to go back to a conversation we had earlier, there is a match that I had
we lost him for a second.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, there's a match that hasn't aired yet this season that is one of those I can't wait. I'm not a fan of my work. I can't wait to watch this match. I don't watch my matches. I drive myself crazy and I nitpick everything. I can't wait to see the reaction and the reception.
That's awesome.
Match, and you guys will know it. I hope you guys will know it when you see it. Yep. But it's one of those, I can hang my hat on this match, and I think a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, I can go, look at that one. That, like,
I can't wait.
Yeah, that one. I'm really, really praying now, and that's all I'm gonna say. No spoilers.
Yep.
Just that, I'm coming off that high, and I'm going to St. Louis to wrestle at the Chase. Like,
oh man,
so yeah, what the future holds for me, I don't know, but I can't wait to get there. I'm
open.
I did.
And I can tell you're excited about it, man. We appreciate you stopping by. Before we let you go, we have one final question that we like to ask everybody right before we leave. Okay, the pandemic's over. You're making towns. You have 3 wrestlers in the car with you, alive or dead. Who's making those towns with you?
Oh, man. Okay, so obviously Savage.
Yeah.
I pitched, I've been for years. When reality TV became a thing, I was like, why doesn't Randy Savage just have a camera on him at all times? I'd watch that dude buy groceries. Like, avocado's feeling a little soft today. Yeah. I would love to see why he picks Crest over Colgate. Like, that's no brainer. Who else is in the car with me? The Boogeyman. Probably the Boogeyman. Just because you don't know what's going to happen, but you know it's going to be worth watching. And who's going to fight the guy that's got the Boogeyman in the car with him? So I feel and number 3, see, this is where it gets tough. I'm really bad at final choices. Dang. I think my gut instinct initially goes to Flair. I don't even think that needs an explanation.
No. Yeah. He's a big one.
Yeah, again, Flair's one of those guys that, like, when he came into Ring of Honor, I had a match where, I mean, it was basically a shine match for Eric Stevens.
Mhm.
And after the match, I get to the back, and Flair just happened to be sitting in Gorilla. And he goes, man, I wish I had somebody like you to bump for me when I was champ.
Oh,
wow,
what a compliment.
What
man.
a compliment.
Why are you watching my match? You're you. What? You know, I was like, that's, but anyways, I digress. There's just so many guys. I'll stick with Flair for now and then regret it and think about 112 more. Like, yeah, see, Brian is one of those guys that, like,
yeah,
Brian is such an enigma, just a personality. He's one of those guys that, like, because I got to know him even before he was the guy in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I would beg promoters in the South, like, bring this guy in. He's so good. And they'd be like, he's bland. He's vanilla. He's not going to sell tickets. And I'm like, no, I promise you, there's a character there. He's got this great charisma, and he's just so fun to be around. And, you know, guys kind of poo-pooed at the idea. And then I think I got that one right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely did.
So, you know, like a guy like Brian would be, but I'm going to stick with Flair. I'll say Savage, Boogeyman, Flair, and me. That's a card trip.
That's a hell of a card trip.
That's a hell of a car, man. Well, man, we appreciate you stopping by. I know everybody, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at SAL RINAURO, RINAURO. A lot of vowels. I swear I didn't pick them. That's all Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at Sal_RINAURO because I messed up making the first Instagram account. I'm on Facebook at, you know, Sal RINAURO. You can find me. You can find a bunch of my merch at ProWrestlingTees.com/Sal RINAURO. I know I'm super clever. That's about it. I mean, you know, I've been lectured about not keeping a strong social media game. I promise I'm on it. So you know, throw me a couple follows and maybe you can help motivate me. I will say this, just a little cliffhanger for you guys. I have something in the works that ties in to the 73rd anniversary. This is a personal pet project, but I'm hoping to have it out in the next couple of weeks. And if it's as good in reality as it is in my brain, I might break the internet. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
I can't wait.
So we just got to stay tuned to your social media.
Into the social medias, like I said, hopefully around the beginning of August, this passion project of mine will drop, and I think it's everybody's going to be in for a fun time with it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I love a good cliffhanger. That's exciting. Sal, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We hope to have you on again in the future.
Absolutely. Just let me know when.
Yeah, you always have a seat at the tavern.
Definitely, man. We look forward to seeing you make your way around the chase.
Great. Yes. No, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.